And this sandwich has been in my repertoire. Shut up, Jeff. It's abusing big words, you dummy. Don't forget where you're from, stupid. So
Chicago.
I'm talking to me, not you, Sylvia.
Today on Supper with Sylvia, we're joined by Jeff Mauro, winner of Food Network star and the one and only Sandwich King. He's gone on to host The Kitchen and Worst Cooks in America, but no matter how big he gets, he's always a Chicago guy at heart. From his band, the Jewel Bags, to his company, Mauro Provisions, Jeff stays true to his roots. So we talk Chi-Town loyalty, the hustle of becoming a Food Network star, and of course, sandwiches. Let's dive in. Jeff Mauro, Mr. Chicago, how are you?
Oh, great. I've never been called I'll take it, though. Wow, what a title. Thank you, Sylvia.
I got to tell you, so, we have our podcast, as you have, which we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But, our thing is about, food. It's about the Chicago food scene. We're kind of expanding outside of Chicago, but we are very Chicago-centric. Mm-hmm. And when I think of a Chicago guy, I think of Jeff Mauro.
Oh, thank you. It's my honor. Yeah. You know what? Like, it's such a big part of my life. Anybody, I guess, that was born, raised here is obviously connected to it, especially via the food, which is, consumed my life for most of it. But, you know what? I just being in entertainment and show business and still able to live here and raise my family here. And that just even makes the connection grow deeper. So I'm happy. I'm proud of that. For you even considering me Mr. Chicago, I'll take it.
Absolutely. And I have to tell everybody, I met you years ago. Mm-hmm. I think it was when you had just won the Food Network star, and I was working at ABC7, and Linda Yu and I, my co-anchor at the time, interviewed you. And I remember thinking, okay, this guy is so much fun. Like, I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot about him. So as we go back and look into your history, you really became kind of well known when you won the next Food Network star. I think that was season 7. Tell everybody what led you up to that.
That was 2011. So I don't know. That's a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
What, 14 now, almost? Oh,
Yep.
My God. I was just a young buck straight out of junior high, just looking to fulfill a dream. No, I was, I was always a performer. And from the time I was in third grade, I love being on stage. I love improv and comedy. I did Second City from third grade through high school, youth programs. And I just loved just being on stage and making people laugh, whether it was in the classroom or part of like musical theater or whatever that may be. But when I, turned 15, I started making my, walk around money, cooking and working in delis and butcher shops. So I always kind of did both of those things simultaneously throughout high school, college, and then into adulthood, which kind of the first like major moment where both these kind of passions intersected was right out of college. I opened a deli with my cousin, and the week we opened the deli, I also got cast in Tony and Tina's Wedding here in Chicago as a waiter, and back then you'd make up a character for the waiter, and it was, you're not just waiting food. It's a buffet, first of all. You're more of a part of the show, and then you work your way up to, a groomsman and then the best man, eventually Tony. So I did those things both simultaneously for 4 years, which was great, knowing that, I love food. I love making money, because, Chicago improv theater was not paying the bills. Neither was the deli as much. So collectively, I was like, okay, I can kind of cobble this together. But I eventually moved to LA in the early 2000s to kind of pursue that dream in Hollywood, if you will, and try to get my own cooking show, and started filming things on the weekends and editing them with my cousin, and we pitch them, and we did all this, and I was working full time. I was doing this stuff, and it just didn't work after a couple of years. So I ended up enrolling in culinary school to kind of legitimize myself. In if I'm going to call myself Chef Jeff,
Yes.
I should have the fundamentals, which I did through professional education, I guess, but I needed the paper. And so once I graduated from culinary school, I eventually moved back home, started a family, and kept trying out for a Food Network star. While in LA, continued on Almost made it the first season. I think it was like season 4 was my first time trying out for that show. And I got super close, but didn't make it. And then season 5, tried out season 6. Meanwhile, I'm in Chicago. I'm a private corporate chef for a large mortgage company. I'm performing on the weekends, doing stand-up, doing everything I can to keep those muscles honed. And eventually, after 4 tries, I made it on the Food Network star. And I ended up winning. And kind of the prize was my first series, which was called Sandwich King, which ran for 5 years. And then which evolved into The Kitchen. And then now I'm on Worst Cooks in America, which is on Sundays at 7 p.m. Central, which just premiered this last Sunday, which is hilarious. Holiday Wars and whatever else they tell me to do, I guess. So here we are. Now I'm back in the basement on a microphone. Who would have thought? Right?
That is fantastic. I mean, obviously they love you. You're on all these shows. When I told people I was going to be talking to you from across the country, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love him on The Kitchen." So let's talk about that, because that really is such a big Food Network mainstay show. And the Food Network has evolved over the years. I remember initially when it first came out, it was all about cooking, and then they got into more of the competitions. And I think The Kitchen is really kind of what people love about the Food Network, which is really the focus on food and personalities. You're with Sunny Anderson, Jeff Zakarian, Katie Lee. You guys seem to really enjoy each other's company. So for those who are huge fans of this show, how much fun is this for you to do, and what's involved in the making of this?
First of all, we're about to start our 39th season.
Wow.
We've been on the air. I think we're hitting 500 episodes this next run, which we're filming in a couple weeks. I think why the show works is obviously the hosts, right? There's 4 of us, and we genuinely like each other. So we're a small family, and we've been doing this for 11 years. 12 years, I think. I think we started in 2013, 14 maybe. Mm-hmm. And it's, we generally, we talk to each other almost every day. We have text chains. So, that carries over authentically into the actual work on stage, in the studio, where ultimately we're literally just cooking, eating, laughing, and drinking for what you see as an hour, but which takes us a half a day. So the productions, we do two episodes a day. And it's, I feel I host several shows on the network, and the other ones are competition shows, which are very different. They're long, they're arduous. It's fun. It's gratifying in many ways, but it's long. Could be a lot of downtime, a lot of intensity. Like Worst Cooks in America is like putting your head inside a vice and slowly turning it while your head is inside an accordion, which is inside like an organ. And it's like that for 14 hours straight, 6 days in a row, where you're rapping at 11, 12, midnight. It's just crazy. And there's so much emotion involved in yelling and instruction and passion and all this stuff. And I love it. And I love the finished product, but the journey is difficult, but The Kitchen, it's like showing up to play. And all I did my whole life was kind of get in trouble for being the class clown, throughout grammar school and middle school, junior high school, even college. But now I kind of get paid to be the class clown, but I also get to cook, and I get to eat, and you get to drink. And that kind of shows through, I think, in the passion of all the hosts that we're genuinely good friends, and we respect and love each other and our individual point of view. But it's a fun day at the office.
Yeah. And you tape all those in how much time for the season?
So we've done several different iterations of our schedule, which has evolved over the years. We used to do every 3 weeks, we'd shoot 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. And then we moved to a different schedule. Now we're every couple months for a week, maybe 8 days, 9 days, could be 6 days of filming, which spread over the course of 8, 9 days with a weekend. So we do that out in New Jersey. So I'll stay in Hoboken, and it's
beautiful Hoboken.
I love Hoboken. Yeah. I spend so much time in New York that I'm just to go and work in New York. Everybody has this kind of glamorous image in their mind of the hustle and bustle and cosmopolitan magic of New York City. But like, if you're working there, it's a grind. Like, it's not the best place to be because the rooms are small. There's no escape, and it's like, you're just constantly grinding there. But like, to me, to cross the river, because we do shoot in Jersey City, Hoboken to me is like a Chicago vibe, more family, obviously a plenty of Italians and Italian delis, which for some reason I always have to be like a stone's throw away from, like, good, nice, thinly sliced mortadella. But like, it's kind of become my second home. So I can kind of, relax, look at the river instead of the skyline.
Fun. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the worst cooks in America. I want to know, are they really that bad? Sometimes I think to myself, I wonder if they're trying to be the worst cooks on purpose. Nobody can be that bad.
Well, yeah, they're terrible. They're all terrible. And even if you think, or the perception is they're faking it, I still have to eat it. You understand? Like, it's not like nobody wins by faking it, right? Nobody's going to win. I mean, I guess you can like lay it on thick and then come in and win because you've had these skills. But I can tell you, as this is my third season. I got another one in the can. I've done 4 seasons of Worst Cooks in America as a chef mentor. And these people are serious, and they're serious about learning, and they're so serious about the journey. And this season is a celebrity season, heroes versus villains. So you couple that kind of, drive, plus you have, these very high intensity celebrities that have made a career doing reality competition shows. I mean, it is intense.
Okay,
and
like what celebrities? What celebrities?
So
anybody we know?
Anybody we know, yeah. It depends on the demographic, Sylvia. You know this. So my team right now is Frankie Grande from Big Brother, who also happens to be Ariana Grande's brother.
Brother, that's right.
Sebastian Bach from Skid Row, one of my mentors as a rock and roll musician, from the days of yore, who's so funny and so genuinely terrible at cooking, you can't help but to love him. Wow. Trinity the Tuck from RuPaul's Drag Race, who's won that before. So she's dressed to the nines in a different wig, different outfit, different whole theme each episode. It's unbelievable. Adam Rippon, he's a Olympic figure skater. Mm-hmm. And then Cheryl Burke from Dancing with the Stars. And on the other team, you got like Corinne Olympios from The Bachelor, the one who was, took her top off the first day and then fell asleep. Rachel Riley from Big Brother. You have Bartiz from Love is Blind. Who else am I missing here?
Well, this is fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, if you're a reality fan,
yes,
this show has reality stars for days.
Okay, so what's the worst food you've ever been forced to eat as part of the show? What can you remember? What stands out in your mind, Jeff, that you're like, this almost made me get sick? Well,
it's funny because it literally was the premiere episode it was Rachel Riley, who's now on Chef Antonia's team. Thank God. Made a chocolate lasagna it was like ground turkey, like just like undercooked globules of ground turkey coated in dark chocolate, like simmered, and then baked with noodles, lasagna noodles, and then served with Brussels sprouts tossed in milk chocolate and white chocolate. It was so abysmal that just gingerly touched my lips, and then I'm like, abort. Some things you just can't eat just because I got to get through the day,
Yeah.
And I feel like I have a very strong constitution at this point. But there's like, anytime you take a bite of undercooked chicken, like dark meat chicken, it'll change you for your life. It's so like, we end up, there's a spit bucket under our station when we're tasting. I'll put it that way.
You use it often?
Yeah. We try not to, because you feel bad, because it is like, I'm not making sensational it's sensational. We're making TV, and that's what we're trying to entertain you. But I'm also like, I'm serious about teaching these recruits, and not like, and not like destroying their self-esteem and self-worth by spitting everything they make out. I mean, it does deflate them a bit. So I try to take it down and look at the bright side and the silver lining in each dish.
You're a good guy. Okay, let's talk about what else you have going on, because you and your sister have this fun podcast. Come On Over, which is also, I believe, the name of your cookbook.
Yeah.
And the podcast is fun. It's listening to two of the Mauro family members with some of their fun escapades. You do these fun texts with your parents. How did the title Come On Over become your thing for not only your podcast, but your cookbook and kind of your life?
Yeah, it's, I guess... it was an epiphany when I was sitting in, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago with at my agent's office with the literary agent there, and we're just kind of spitballing ideas because it was like, it's time for your cookbook, and I've had offers, and I was it's just so much work to do a cookbook. Like, I needed to find the time, right? And I was like, okay, this is the time. This was like pre-pandemic, and like, what's the pitch? And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I'm just like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm always the house, I'm always like in the phone, and I'm like, why not? I'm like, screw it, I'll host, come on over. Yeah. Fine. My mom's like, where should we do Easter? I'm like, yeah, screw it, just come on over, I got it. What are we gonna do for the 4th? Screw it, I got the smoker going, come on over. So it was like, boom, and my agent's like, that's the title. I'm like, what? Yeah. Screw it, come on over. He's like, no, just come on over. And I'm like, oh my God, it was like that. And then I was, boom, I was on GoDaddy, and I'm like, I registered the URL, which I actually had to pay money for, but not a lot. So I was like, this is going to encompass my brand, as being the nucleus of my very, very large family who all still live amongst us, cousins and parents. And my parents are, 4 minutes away, and everybody lives in the city or in the surrounding suburbs. And I'm always uttering those words into the phone. And it just harkened back to my mom, picturing my mom on that, 40-foot coiled telephone cord in 2 rooms over from where the cord was attached. And she's always like, all right, come on over. And like her hosting, and my aunt's hosting, and my grandma hosting before that. And it's a good platform for not only, food and recipes, but also, authentic to me in, my family culture. And that kind of, just evolved into the podcast, which we started, 5 years ago, right at the beginning of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And it just, while the book came out, and it just kind of made sense. And we're so proud of the podcast. We've done a couple hundred episodes, and we put a lot of effort into it. And it's just a glimpse into kind of my life. And we talk a lot about, obviously, food, a lot about TV and stuff. And I've written at least, I think, 92 original songs for the podcast. I should put it this, mediocre original songs, but darn it, I play every instrument on and produce them in this basement here. So it's just like my creative outlet that's not, quote unquote, censored by the network or not my TV persona or Food Network. Mm-hmm. So it's a great outlet for me.
Okay, no, those songs are hilarious. So I was on your website, and I'm clicking, and I'm listening to this music, and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to find out a little more about this, because I love this. So you are part of a group called the Jewel Bags. Is that right? Okay, and for people who don't know, who aren't Chicagoans, the Jewels. People always put plural. An S, right? It is a grocery store in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I love it that you decided that was going to be the name of your group, the Jewel Bags. That's hilarious. And your music is on your podcast. And so you've written all of this stuff.
Yeah. So the Jewel Bags started probably about 4 years ago in my basement with some neighborhood dads.
What's up with the basement?
Well, we're in Chicago. What doesn't happen in the basement? I mean, listen, growing up, it was like we'd have a family party, and it was just my mom, the aunts, and uncle just throw us in the basement with, a case of Diet Pop and a loaf of bread. And they'd be like, just fend for yourselves. So, I mean, like, my formative years were spent in a basement. Why not continue that on? Now we have evolved to a practice space, which my wife handled it for a couple months, maybe a year. We practiced in the basement, but then we evolved into we're like an 11-piece band now. We have a full horn section. We got a flute. We got multiple singers, keyboard, guitars, everything. We play out almost every month. And the Jewel Bags was inspired, the name, just growing up, anytime you needed a plastic bag for a lunch or a sleepover or anything to transport anything, my mom would be like, go under the sink and grab a Jewel Bag, which is the plastic bag from any grocery store. It could have been from Dominic's, Home Depot, Menards, Target, doesn't matter. It was always a Jewel Bag despite where it came from. So I'm like, let's just be hyper regional here. And now we're, self-dubbed I like to call myself the Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band of Cook County. That's how big and bombastic we are. But now we do kind of a hybrid. We do a lot of, what happened was on Halloween, we like to kind of do a gimmick and open for ourselves as a completely different band. So this year we came out as the Jazz Bags, and we did a whole like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Louis Prima set with all like kind of fun crooner jazz standard Rat Pack stuff. So it went over so well. We just do half our set is all that stuff now. So there's a little something for the young, rock and roll, but anything we cover, it's a song you forgot you loved. It's nothing wedding bandish or typical. We're proud.
I love it. You should be. And I love the name. And I love that the Jewel Bag was a generic name for every bag that your mom had under the sink.
Hilarious.
And we'll be right back.
Paws Chicago is a national leader in no-kill sheltering and medicine. When Paws was founded in 1997, more than 42,000 homeless pets were killed in Chicago. Today, that number is down over 90% thanks to programs supported by our animal-loving community. Join Paws in building no-kill communities where every dog and cat is given the chance to not just survive, but thrive. Visit pawschicago.org to adopt, foster, volunteer, or donate.
Looking to add more love and companionship to your life? The West Suburban Humane Society is here to help you find the perfect pet. Whether it's a playful puppy, a gentle cat, or a senior pet looking for a second chance, we have wonderful animals waiting for loving homes. By adopting, you're giving these pets a new lease on life, and in return, they'll bring joy, loyalty, and companionship to yours. All of our animals are fully vetted and ready to join your family today. Visit wshsdg.org to see available pets, learn about volunteer opportunities, or donate to support our mission. Make a difference, change a life, and find a friend today at the West Suburban Humane Society, where love and second chances begin.
Okay, so that's great. The podcast is going great. You've got so much going on, but I'm really excited to talk to you. And you brought some samples the last time I saw you when you came over to my station about Mauro Provisions. Because, wow, this is something that talk about Chicago. That's what this is all about. Tell everybody about Mauro Provisions. The first thing I think about is your giardiniera, which is amazing. And people outside of Chicago may not know what giardiniera is. And when they see the word, they don't know how to pronounce it. But it's a true Chicago thing. So was that how this all got started?
Yeah, I was kind of like on my kitchen island. And I'm like, what should I do next? I turned in my book. It was right before the pandemic, and I'm like, I need to. I was writing the recipe. I wrote the recipe for my giardiniera in the cookbook, which I think is the best. And I'm like, I grew up always going to the you Caputo's, you go to all these delis, you go to the grocery stores, and you see the giardiniera aisle, which for those listening don't know what it is. It's like fermented, pickled medley of peppers and vegetables that's packed in oil. It's spicy, it's crunchy, it's funky. We put it on everything in Chicago, whether it's pizza, pasta, obviously sandwiches. Mm-hmm. It's great on eggs, great on, like avocado toast. It's amazing. A million different ways to get a bunch of flavor with like a spoonful or two. So I always grew up I'm like, this stuff, I love it. And I eat it on everything. I'm like, but it could have so much more color, more crunch, more flavor. I'm like, nobody's taken this, right? This humble table staple in Chicago. Regionally, you find it in Indiana and Wisconsin and stuff. Mm-hmm. And really reformulated it, made it better, and kind of blew it up across the country. And given, me having a national audience and, this Sandwich King, point of view in, TV shows and a mouth that talks all day long on whatever the heck people want to air me on. Like, let's do this, And so, I did it by myself and kind of and formulated this and started selling it online and with the help of one other person. And it kind of just evolved from there. Now we're, almost 4.5 years later, 5 years later, and, we have 5 different kinds of giardiniera. Our honey G pepper relish is wildly popular. I crafted a cheeseburger with our honey G pepper relish and our Taylor Street cheese sauce and our black powder rub that you can find on every bistro on board menu on every United flight.
Okay, that is cool. You got on United Airlines.
Yes. And that's my airline. That's what I fly. Like, I am a lifelong United loyalist. I know them all. Like, I go to the airport sometimes almost every week. So they're like, Jeff. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, guys, I'm back, And just to be able to partner with Chicago's hometown airline, providing Chicago-centric foods, starting with this cheeseburger, and then we're moving on to other menu items. It's just been so wildly popular, and our Italian beef kits are selling crazily. Like, so if you're in Arizona, Florida, California, and you have a hankering for a true Chicago-style Italian beef sandwich, we ship kits by the hundreds every day across the country. And it's not just like your run-of-the-mill beef stand beef. I mean, we use USDA prime beef, clean label, beautiful stuff. And we pack it with the Toronto rolls, the sausage,
there you go,
the giardiniera, the gravy, everything you need to get a kit, to have that experience at home. And you can find us in restaurants now. And it's That's so cool. And then we have 2 pizzas that are launching February 1st and all the Jewels.
All the Jewels have them.
So it's just like, Sylvia, I do a lot. I wrangle a lot of stuff, and sometimes at night I can't sleep, or I wake up at 3 a.m. thinking of all the millions of things I've kind of got of the checklist, and to-do list. But then I realize when I do wake up, I love everything I do, and it's, and to quote my wife, it's all your own doing. So quit complaining. Like, well, you don't have to have a band that practices twice a week. You don't have to, do this. You don't have to podcast twice. Like, you know what I mean? But like, I do love the work. And, when I do wake up, I often pinch myself, as cliche as that sounds, because
life is good.
Life is good. And I can't believe, I made it, and I get to make television. And that's what I kind of set out to do 25 years ago. And it's not true for a lot of people, a lot of people want to make it in show business in some form, and it just doesn't work out for whatever reason. And I'm not saying it's for lack of hard work, or I worked harder than anybody. I'm sure there's a fairly giant dose of luck involved. Maybe it's faith, maybe it's gratitude, maybe it's whatever. But, I don't take it for granted. So, I might as well strike when the iron's hot, right? And do as much as I can.
Well, that's amazing. And the fact that you get to do your comedy and, be involved in the culinary world, which you love. You just taught me something, this Chicago girl. You just taught me something.
Oh, my God.
I still have been saying giardiniera wrong. It's giardiniera.
Well, that's the phonetic spelling is giardiniera, right? With the hard J. But street level, if you're your true one, if you're a real one, Sylvia, which I know you are, which you said this up top, you say giardiniera.
Oh, thank goodness.
The I is always optional.
Oh, thank goodness.
Which, by the way, I trademarked the phonetic spelling of giardiniera.
I saw a video that you had about how to pronounce it correct. I love it. Giardiniera. Okay, so I'm cool that I am street smart. And your giardiniera is delicious. It is so good. But, this all comes back to how it all started for you as far as when you first became a well-known name, and that was as the Sandwich King. Your first show was a series, and it was a huge hit for so many years. I love what you're doing now because you have a kind of a series going on Instagram and TikTok that I've been enjoying, where you are going out into the city and the neighborhoods and the suburbs, right? And you are rating sandwiches using a Chicago star rating system.
Oh, brilliant.
It is so much fun. So explain to everybody what it is you're doing and how this has just kind of developed a life of its own, hasn't it?
You know what, Sylvia? it's almost infuriating, right? Because the concept is called Sandwich Kingdom, right? And it's been an idea for a show, right? For as long as I had Sandwich King for, I was like, why don't we do a spinoff of a road show where I just eat food throughout the country and feature sandwiches called Sandwich Kingdom? It's a no-brainer. And I pitched it ad nauseum. And it's just like, we don't do right, whatever reason they have for not producing that. You get to a point where, like, flash forward 14 years later, where literally the biggest network is in the palm of your hand, right on our phone via social media and YouTube. So if you can't beat them, you got to join them.
Okay.
And you see the popularity of, like, Dave Portnoy's One Bite Pizza. And you see just people reviewing stuff and, giving a score in a 90-second video. It does so well and connects with so many people. So me and my sister, we went out there. I'm like, I got this. Let's just do this. Let's just choose 3 places. So my favorite place, like down the street, and you record it, edit it, and we'll do a clever little, I'll wear a crown because I had a crown from Amazon for a bit I had maybe 2 years ago that's been sitting on my shelf. I put on the crown. I give, we have the Chicago Star, which has 6 points, and I give it a very accurate, number of 4.793. My sister wants to kill me with some of these arbitrary ratings. But, I'm very honest, and I've hit a couple places pretty hard. I don't want to, like, disparage anything, but I want this, like, we had restaurants being like, come and do our sandwich, sponsor it. I'm like, nope, we're going to keep this sponsor free. We're going to keep it pure. We're going to make it about the taste and the bite and the quality and the rating. And it's like the most popular thing I've ever done on social media.
I love it.
Which is like, again, I didn't reinvent the wheel. And I do these demos, and you do, you go shopping and you do a swap out and you record with the light and the tripod in your kitchen and you make a thing, and it gets 1/10 of the reviews. And I don't got time to do all that anymore. That occupies so much time, and I love teaching people to cook, and I still do it. But it's like, if I can go out and eat 3 sandwiches in an hour and a half and, like, enjoy the process and cut it quickly and upload it quickly, it's like, why not? And it just resonated with people. And it is like, I get more suggestions and more people mentioning that in public, almost as much as the kitchen now. It's crazy.
I love it. I love it. And so what's the best one you've had so far, would you say? Or give me your top 2.
It was probably, the best was Kasama, which is wildly popular.
Yes.
Tim Flores and Jeannie Kwan, I've known them for a long time through their career. And they've been so nice to me, and I've supported them in any way I could. Not that they need my support. They got 2 block long lines out the door every day. But I was like, finally, I'm going to go there for the sandwiches. I've only been there for dinner and pastries and stuff, but their breakfast sandwich, an Italian beef spin, the pork adobo with the Langhisa sausage combo, Chicago style combo. I mean, they're my 2 best bites of the year, and it happened to be, back to back and at the same place.
Wow.
So amazing. Another great sandwich. Oh my God, there's been so many.
Well, I should stop you for a second, because for people who do not know Kasama is a Filipino restaurant in Chicago, and it is the only Filipino restaurant, and I don't know if this still holds true, but it has a Michelin star in the United States. So they were a big deal when they got that Michelin star, and their food is over the top amazing. You mentioned the pastries I've tried. I've had dinner there. I have not had that sandwich, though. That's on my list now.
Yeah, it's worth it. I've had dinner there several times on the tasting menu, and it's out of this world. But if you can get there for a casual sandwich, it's so good. It's worth the wait. They're just such good people too.
Yes, they are.
No pretentiousness. No, I'm the top chef. I was on the Bear. I was in the Bear like more than anybody. You know, like legitimate credentials. I got a Michelin star. Hoity-toity. Like, not that I feel like I'm definitely embedded in a part of the Chicago chef community. I just happen to not currently have a restaurant, even though I've had restaurants in the past. But it's maybe it's my own lack of self-esteem. That's why I'm in this career. That's why anybody does show business, right, Sylvia? We all kind of deep down want to be loved more and get applause and laughter. But like, it's funny, especially in the beginning of my career. It's like, I feel like I had to prove myself with all these, chefs, and some would, turn your nose up at you. Like, I don't care about this guy's a TV guy. He's a sandwich guy. What does he know about fine dining or whatever? But like, everybody's so great. And it's such a great community. And that's what I love about The Bear too, the TV show, that it's just highlighted like the real ones and just, it's so authentic, and it's done so much to uplift our culinary scene here. And that, I've tried to get on the Bear. I think I'd be unbelievable.
I think so too.
As a walk-on part. Maybe the guy at the deli, whatever. I'll grow a mustache, whatever you want. I'll slice meat. I'll be a butcher. Just give me a couple lines. But season 2, episode 2, they did. Now, if you rewind, you will, and you don't have to pause. You can see it.
Okay.
Carmi opens his fridge. Guess whose giardiniera is in the fridge? Sylvia Perez. That's right, Mauro Provisions.
That's
right. He's got the medium in there, baby.
Okay, so you kind of have already been on the Bear.
Exactly. I've been on the Bear.
We
just unaccredited.
We need to get you on there. If anybody, they need to make sure to get you on there. Okay, so you remember that song, "The Devil Went Down to Georgia"?
Of course.
Okay, and he was looking for a soul to steal, right?
Yep.
So the devil comes to Chicago, and he's looking for a soul to steal based on a competition for the best sandwich he ever ate. What is Jeff Mauro going to do to beat the devil in his own game with the most amazing sandwich you've ever created?
Okay, I got you.
You got me?
This is funny. All right, I know what it is. Okay, hold on. Now I'm in between two. I have to beat the devil.
You got to beat the devil
to get my soul back, right?
Yep.
And if he wins, he takes my soul, and I just like turn into a pile of dust.
You're a goner.
I'm just gone.
We're going to miss you because we love you. But you're going to win.
Okay, I'm going to win.
I have confidence in you.
All right, so this is what I would do. So I'm going to beat the devil. So the devil's going to come with something hot and meaty, right?
Yes.
So, do you fight fire with fire, Sylvia?
I think so.
No, you don't, right? You get angelic and heavenly.
Okay.
So this is what I would do. And this sandwich has been in my repertoire. Shut up, Jeff. It's abusing big words, you dummy. Don't forget where you're from, stupid. So
Chicago.
I'm talking to me, not you, Sylvia.
I know.
Repertoire. So I actually, this sandwich, Bobby Flay said on season 7 of Food Network Star, which led to not only me being dubbed the Sandwich King, but this was the best sandwich he's ever had, which led to my winning season 7 of Food Network Star. So why not build this sandwich? So on a beautifully buttered and griddled brioche bun, I will put two expertly pre-salted, skinned, right? So you take the moisture out, eggplant, nice medallions of eggplant, right? Fried in really good olive oil, nice and gently, right? And then I'll make a pistachio pesto for the bottom, right? So you get that, that verdant brightness, a little crunch from the pistachio, the nuttiness. And then I'll take some cherry tomatoes right off the vine, slowly roast them till they're caramelized and blistered, right? And just bursting with freshness. So we'll use that as our tomato element, and then take a nice little kind of segment of creamy burrata cheese with that cream inside and the stracciatella cheese. And we'll put that on top, that buttered griddled top bun, right? So you got the green, you got the tomato, you got almost that gooey cheese. You cut it in half, you look at the cross section, you take a bite, and I'm going to beat the devil with a vegetarian sandwich. How about that?
Whoa, you have won. You have been able to keep your soul, my friend.
That's
that sounds delicious.
Does it work? Because I've been looking for my soul for a little bit. I hope just describing it got a portion of my soul back.
You won. That's incredible. That is amazing. That sounds so good. And you've got, I want to go back to your cookbook because you have some really good recipes in that cookbook. That's a fun cookbook. It's gotten great reviews. And I love that the foreword is by another local guy, and that is Sebastian Maniscalco. Tell me about your relationship with him.
I met him at a comedy show, at Chicago Theater. I was an early fan, and this was,
He's funny.
maybe 10, 11 years, before he's selling out stadiums and
Right.
has TV shows and movies and working with Robert De Niro and hosting award shows. This was way before that. And we just, listen, it's a small world. I mean, I implore you to count on one hand how many Chicago Italian-American entertainers, actors, that are out there.
Right.
And you just hear, the minute I saw him and heard him on some early videos, I was like, this guy's one of us. And I just want to get to know him. And we got to know each other. And it was an obvious choice for a forward because it's a great get. You see it on the cover. It's like a lot of people are excited by that. It's not the typical like fellow Food Network, talent.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like I wanted to make it about home and where I'm from, less about the network. And it was just great. And he immediately said yes, and he wrote, and it was
That's great.
Yeah, it just lended itself to the kind of gravity of the book. So
That is fantastic. So, and as I think about as we wrap up here, I want to know what's coming up in the future. I heard you say that you're working on a script with your brother, who is a writer.
No,
in
my
LA.
cousin.
Oh, your cousin.
My brother
Okay.
could not write a script. My brother's a
Could
salesman.
save his life.
He
Yes,
works
that's
for
right.
me. He's very
Okay, so
he's
your
very
cousin-
talented. He's not my brother can't
Not a
spell.
writer.
So that's his problem.
Okay, so you and your cousin are working on a script. Are you going Hollywood on us? What's happening here?
So funny. You know what I'm doing right after
What are you
this,
doing?
Sylvia? Well, my
What?
cousin Joe's in town. We call him Hollywood Joe.
Okay.
His name's Joe Ballerini. He's written a million scripts over the last 25 years. He's a very accomplished screenwriter, producer, all this stuff. He was the one who kind of got me out to LA back in the early 2000s to be like, I got you, man. Let's do some stuff together. So it was just like we've always toyed with doing something to, he was instrumental in kind of obviously getting me to LA, which I cut my teeth in ways I never could have, I think, here in Chicago, even though I didn't make it in LA. But, we did so much filming out there together and kind of putting he guided me and he got us into a lot of rooms and edited a lot of my stupid, homemade TV shows. So it kind of culminated, I don't know, a couple months ago. And we've always had this idea of like, how do we incorporate, our worlds in my cousin Joe's. So the script, I can't give it away too much, but it's called Boca, and it's about Chicago Italians running a restaurant in Boca for the last, decade and a half. And there's organized crime involved in, it's like Big Night meets The Bear meets, a Tarantino movie almost. But, he's such a great storyteller, and and it's so food heavy that I get to, put the authentic food spin like The Bear, but like in a feature film that really showcases Chicago and Italians, but like in a glitzy, funky, Boca Raton setting. So,
Okay, well, are you going to be in it?
well, yeah, I mean, ideally, listen, if we did write a part with me in mind, that's not huge, but it's good
Okay.
enough. I play, hopefully the chef, the opera singing chef. But
course.
We're actually going right to a table read, which we organized because my cousin Joe's in town for this week. There was someone on his mom's side of the family, he's in for a memorial and a funeral and all that. But so I'm like, let me put together a table read. So I got some of Chicago's finest. We're doing it at Gina Giorgetti's. It's going to be
love it.
classic. So it's the first time I've ever remotely, gotten involved creatively in something like this. But it's just so much. It's just a fun process just to write. And it's not like, I'm not meeting a deadline. I'm not writing a recipe that has to be turned in by Tuesday. I'm not like writing an email. I'm not like writing a description for the Mauro Provisions. Like it's just like pure. It's different. It's a different muscle that I'm kind of working out.
I love it. I love it. How much fun. And I love that it's happening at the iconic first Chicago steakhouse, Gina and Giorgetti's.
Yep.
And this is what I love about you, Jeff Mauro, Mr. Chicago. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I can't wait to see what's coming up. You're so much fun. Real quick, where can people follow you besides, on the Food Network? What else do you want them to know before we let you go?
Go to mauroprovisions.com. If you got a hankering for giardiniera, we can ship it to you in a couple days. We got rubs, we got kits, we got meats, we got everything. You can listen to the podcast wherever you listen. It's called Come On Over. You can go to comeonover.com if you want to listen on there. Follow me at Jeff Mauro on all social media platforms, and just, whatever. If you've got a question, DM me.
I love it. And Jeff, please keep doing what you're doing, making people laugh, making people happy with your wonderful foods, and follow him on social media. And as a Chicagoan, I just want to thank you for promoting our city in such a great way. And I know it's so close and near and dear to your heart. And you are just such a great showcase for what Chicago has to offer. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
And I hope we connect again soon.
For sure, Sylvia. I'm sure I'll see you.
Have fun at your table read.
Oh boy, Hollywood.
This podcast is produced by Jane Stevens, audio engineering and original music by Donnie Cutting, social media and promotions, Magali Blaisdell.